about is that skill set. Remember, attitude, aptitude, skills, people pivoting into the place. We've talked about interviewing before,
Mhm.
but just how important. Have a little bit of a debate about how important and what's important. Even diving into what is attitude. What are the attitude things that we think are important? What are the aptitude things we think are important? Or even if you buy that, and
Yeah,
we could also.
I'm not totally on the AAA train.
Well, then that's fine.
Yeah.
I that's you could be on the AAA bus. You could be on the AAA rocket to the moon. You could that that actually creates a juicy discussion. Don't you think, Josh?
Yeah.
Do we have a theme
It's
though? That was
attitude,
our that
aptitude, and then what's the third one?
the skills. There's another A. I don't know what is it. Oh, hold on. I can find it. I have to look at the. I always. It's skills, but it's.
You're clearly not a believer in this.
I am a believer in it. I just don't have it. Is this you just trying? It is.
You
Are
said
you?
I
Are
couldn't
you?
help you. So, and you said bring it. You said bring it on.
And you can. Okay,
Yeah,
you win.
this is self-inflicted.
Yeah. Yes, it is. Oh my God. It's been self-inflicted for 12 years.
I know.
Exactly.
13 coming up.
It is our anniversary's coming up. What's 13? Is that like the oak?
Dog poop.
What? The dog poop anniversary?
It's the unlucky. People would treat 13 as unlucky. There's a number in China. I don't remember what it was, but like they just don't allow buildings to have that number floor. It just skips right over it.
Is it 13?
Aptitude.
Oh, God.
Aggression.
No, just bear with me. I have trouble sometimes searching on I've written so much stuff that I'm just trying to find which website. There it is. Cool.
Amplitude.
Josh.
I'm throwing out A's.
Oh, ability.
Assholery.
Ability.
Okay.
Ability. So attitude, aptitude, ability, i.e., technical ability. I mean, we could go with something else if you want. I need some.
I'm formulating a debate.
Oh, okay. Okay. And part of this was like the new, quiet quitting, a lot of people pivoting. So part of the context here was people pivoting. There's a lot of interest right now from people pivoting from education into and the role is really Scrum Master. The role they're looking to pivot into and overload is the Scrum Master role. I've gotten people reach out, government jobs like operational analysts in government, and they want to pivot to that. So government, nonprofits, teaching. Rihanna did social work, sort of those underpaid places. And I, a little part of me is concerned that you need a little bit of skill, right? Or maybe a little bit of familiarity, I think, in order to navigate that. So making sure that we don't have these folks that are rushing in just for a paycheck, right?
So you want to talk specifically about the Scrum Master role and folks pivoting into it?
We could do that, or we could just generally talk about interviewing for agile non-assholes.
Well, I mean, I feel like we can weave those two together.
I agree. Are we good? I swear to God, do I sound better with this mic?
Yes, you do. You sound fantastic.
Okay, good.
Yeah,
good. I just feel like you're testing me, and I'm failing.
That's what I told me to.
Can I tell you? Can I plead with you to stop?
I want you to know this is how I felt with Agile Bob. It was terrifying.
Oh, okay.
I
Well,
was
then I feel very
thinking about my
uncomfortable
deal.
right now.
Yeah. Okay.
So
Okay. I will
I
back off.
feel
Okay. I got you. I got you.
all right. Every orifice of my body is puckered up right now. That stopped you in your tracks, didn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
There were retorts I decided to shelve.
I could see them. I could see.
It was like, yeah, you saw them like swiping left. Nope.
Yeah, exactly. Nope, nope, nope. Not gonna touch it. Nope, nope. What? Oh, nope, nope, nope.
Gosh. Okay. So piling on top of quiet quitting for those that are looking to pivot. We're going to dig into hiring practices.
And the other thing is, how do you translate? You got jacked up about this the other day. How do you translate your experience into Agile?
Yeah.
Right? If I'm a teacher, for example, what would that translation, what would get your attention?
Mhm.
What stuff there would I translate in?
Perfect. Okay. All right. So pivoting off of our quiet quitting episode, we're going to help those of you that are in the quiet quitting realm looking to pivot specifically to the Scrum Master role. So Bob has a lot of experience, familial and other, in folks making this move. So Bob, can you kick us off?
I could try, Josh. I mean, a lot of people reach out to me more and more over time. It's probably started for the last 2 years, and um, and it's people without a lot of experience or without direct experience. Actually, they have a lot of experience, but they don't have direct experience in Agile. Sometimes folks are like, "I want to be a Scrum Master. I've done a little bit of research, and I'm a school teacher, and could I become, is it possible for me to become a Scrum Master, and what would that look like, and how would you help me?" Um, and and then sometimes it's just people who have light experience in general, and they want to move into a development role in Agile or other roles in Agile. Uh, and a lot of the discussion, well, and a lot of times they're frustrated, so they've been trying and they're getting rejected. And they're getting summarily rejected. It's like, I haven't even gotten a conversation, right? So people looked at my resume. So part of it is like rebuilding your resume,
Yeah.
um, and how do you gain entry? And I don't have a service around that. I usually sometimes I have a couple blog posts I put together, and I might refer them to that. Sometimes I give them a Calendly link, and we have a 30-minute conversation. Um, Sometimes folks they're very frustrated, so they don't think it's possible at all. So I try to give them some positive energy, but at the same time, I want to be careful that I also paint that the road is going to be hard for them. So I try to give them some positive energy, give them some ideas, but also talk about how challenging it is. One of the challenges I usually bring up, and I'm just kicking things off to give you some stuff to react to, Josh. I talk about you need a unique company. Not every company, in my mind, is going to be attracted to you. There's some companies that are going to summarily reject you. Very often they're large companies, right? And then some companies are going to you need to find those companies that are willing to take a risk. They see the upside. They don't just look at your resume. And there's not a lot of those out there. I think a lot of times it's startups. I think you did that when you were at the Dude. You
Mhm.
looked beyond the paperwork, right? You were open-minded to the possibilities. Did that inspire anything in you?
Well, you covered a lot of things I wanted to talk about, so I feel like I'm
Oh,
just gonna
crap.
pile on. Well, that's okay, Bob. We can do this. We can do this. I've seen this in multiple directions, and even members of our community on Discord, we've helped across the board. And the number one thing that I see where we can jump in and help is helping them reformat their delivery of who they are. If it's
Yeah.
how they talk about themselves or their resume, there's so many things. Again, Agile isn't just software. So you don't have to be in the software world to be operating in an agile manner. And that's where people they automatically have this block of, well, I've never done agile because I haven't never worked at a software company. Well, like that's BS. You have. You just didn't call it that. You were still solving complex problems as a part of a team. So getting them to rethink about their past and the experiences that they've had, the projects that they've been a part of, the things that they've led with that agile eye, and realize, oh, yeah, we did do that, because it is a logical way to break down a difficult problem that so many people just do. That's how I got started with agile. It just made sense. And then I later found out, oh, there's this thing called agile. So there's many people out there that if they're already thinking about going into the scrum master role, they're likely just naturally doing agile type things in their day to day. So the first thing is to get them to open their eyes and recognize that. Then that sets them off in the right direction of like, oh, okay, I can now reframe things so that it sells better and people recognize, yes, you've been doing agile, maybe not in the traditional sense, but you've been doing the job. So that's
Right.
always step number one that I see people struggle with is it's just like, I don't have the experience. When you do, you just have to look at it from a different angle.
Well, and you have to be creative.
Yeah.
I remember I was talking to a guy the other day, and he was unique. I think he was coming at it from he had he was a coach, like a high school coach, and he had done organizational development stuff in high school, and then he was coaching in high school. And I was thinking of bringing coaching examples to bear, and talking about. So I think that reframe, you have to get generous with yourself. You have to give yourself grace. Well, let me just take a step back. I think the first step is understanding what Scrum, the master role, is, and not what Agile is, but what role you're targeting, and what are the key things with the role. Then you look at your background, and to your point, then you have to do this mapping. So it's like, oh, well, did you ever deal with sub teams? Did you ever deal with team leads? Did you grow people? Did you have stand-up? Oh, of course we had stand-ups. We had these gatherings and things like that. Okay. How long did you do that? Well, we did that for a year. Where did that come from? And some people actually play with Agile or play with Scrum a little bit, but they're in a different job. So it's like, how do you do that? The other thing is I usually suggest, I want to see how you react to this. I usually suggest that you create an Agile resume only. So don't talk about, I'm a dog walker, and then I did some Scrum stuff, and I scooped up stuff for the rest of the day, and then I did some, just really scrub your background and make it an Agile resume, and only talk about Agile stuff, like the mapping stuff that you're doing, leadership activities, collaboration activities, role modeling activities, things like that. Even things that you did in the community. If you started attending meetups, and if you're taking a leadership role in the meetup, so you did a presentation, sort of beef that up as much as you can.
Yeah, the other side of the coin of the point I made earlier is that once you recognize how things you've done in the past are Scrum centric, really lean into it.
Mm-hmm.
Start bringing more and more of that mindset and process into your day to day, every day. It doesn't mean you have to like walk into your boss's office and say, we're doing Scrum. Don't do that, right? Just start doing the things that Scrum prescribes. And I guarantee if you do it, things will get better. And then everyone will be pleasantly surprised. So then again, even during that process, because it's going to take time for you to find this job, say it takes 6 months, that's 6 months of practice, like dedicated, important practice you can provide yourself so that when you start that job after the pivot, you're already 6 months ahead of schedule. So don't sit and wait for somebody to tell you and bless you and say, you can now do Scrum. Do it now. Do it tomorrow. There's no one stopping you. Don't broadcast it. Just do it, and things will be better. You'll be happier. You'll be excited, and your company will benefit also.
Metacasters, I want you to really trigger and get excited about what Josh just said, because it is that immediate practice. And that's something that when I'm coaching people, I talk about it, but not as strongly. It's practicing it. Let's use retrospectives as an example. There is no reason why you can't be retro happy in whatever role you're in. You can do personal reflection. You can do group-based reflection. If you have any organizational meetings, you can have a retrospective at the end of anything. And so to Josh's point, just dive in. The other thing is that's not just for your resume. It's for your practice. It's for your confidence, but it's also for your answers. People are going to do situational interviewing, and you have to have something to share with them. You have to be able to reframe not only physically on paper, but you have to be able to reframe in your storytelling, in your connection in the interview process. So you have to fill up your bucket with something, right? And that practice, I think you nailed that one, Josh. You don't even say it, but just practice your mindset, practice the patterns, write user stories, post it. No, anything you can do to gain chops is going to help you sort of translate yourself.
And I think that's important because there's so many people that have tried to substitute for that of I do agile or scrum at home and I have a board and like that's where the chores are. Like that doesn't provide you with the same set of challenges. So yes, that's a baby step, but leap in here and start making it happen in your current role because that will present you with all kinds of different personality types and business challenges. Just everything across the board is going to get thrown at you. So the sooner you start doing it, the sooner you start stumbling, the sooner you start picking yourself up and improving. So that's really the best thing you can do.
Well, and volunteer for stuff. If there's a focus group doing something, if there's an initiative, if volunteer, get in the game. I don't care what it's doing. Budget process. You're in an elementary school and they're budgeting for materials for the next school year. Get in there. That's an experiment that you can bring all kinds of rich stuff to bear and then write about it, talk about it, and gain some experiential chops related to that. So I just wanted to nail what Josh said, everyone. Really, you have to find you can find that in your current job. You could find that with the Boy Scouts. You could find that by volunteering at the Y. I mean, get creative. So I don't think you're going to walk into a company without any stories to tell and get a job. No one's going to gift you. No one's going to gift you a job. You have to do the mapping. You have to do the translation hard work. And then you have to find someone who's willing to take that risk with you, right? And give you a chance to show your skills.
And that's a door opener for those that are willing to take risks because you made it happen. You didn't sit and wait for somebody to hand it to you. You said, this is the role I want. I might not have it yet, but I'm going to make this freaking thing happen. And here's what I've done along the way. That is a thing that will push somebody over the top of, oh, this person wants to make this happen and they've proven to be a self-starter, and people buy into that and support people that are working for those big goals that they want to achieve for themselves. The support out there is amazing, but you have to show A, that you want to do it, and B, that you're actually gonna do it. So that will open a ton of doors in a ton of different directions. If you start volunteering and you talk about, hey, this is why I'm volunteering, I'm trying to learn this, then those are connections and networks that might land you in that next job. So everything you can do in this process is just going to help you find that first step.
Absolutely. One of the things I told my daughter when she was pivoting from, when she was thinking about pivoting from social work to Scrum Mastery, and she's made that pivot, is in addition to everything we're talking about, I talked to her about getting involved in the community a lot. I'm like, there's so many groups. And one of the good things when she was pivoting is everything went virtual due to COVID, which was a real blessing in disguise, I think. So now you can attack lots of meetings with lots of free meetups and things on various topics, and you can add those to your portfolio, and they're free. Typically, they're free. And so I know she went to some coaching circles. I know she went to some meetup groups, and it required time. She had a day job. So I remember being impressed. I never told her that. Dads are not supposed to tell their children that. But I remember being impressed. I'm like, she's working. She's working the community to increase her chops and increase her skills. She did get certifications, so she went to certifications. But I think one of the critical things was the meetup groups, and it wasn't just the content and the learning, but it was the connections that you make, other connections other than me, right, or other than the volunteers. So you're getting involved. We have a really good community of people that can help you. So have people who help you review your resume, people who might help you. I've known folks in some of the meetup groups, Richard Core, for example, I think, who you know, Josh. I think a couple scrum masters who were looking for experience, Richard at one point invited them in, maybe not at the Dude, but wherever he was, he invited them in to shadow him briefly. And what he was giving them a gift, which was shadow me in the real world. It's not quite the same as having a job, but it'll give you some stories to tell or some anecdotes to share. And you could, it'll show you what good looks like, what Scrum Mastery in the real world looks like. And I remember he did that, and it was the connections in the meetup group. So be willing to work. You're not going to get spoon fed. So if you're looking for someone to spoon feed this to you, it's not going to work. You're going to have to do the heavy lifting to pivot yourself.
The nature of people in the Scrum Master Agile coach role is they like to coach. So it's a wide open place for you to find people that are ready and willing to help, because that's what they do. That's what they're choosing to do with their day job. So asking one of them, someone that works like that, to do that, to help somebody out, of course they're going to help. One of the things I would like to talk about, Bob, is the certification thing. So say you're making this pivot, and do you need the certifications or not? I certainly am not a certification guy that when I look at a resume and there's CS and all these different letters and things like that, that doesn't move me. What it would do is, again, one of those things, if you're looking to pivot and you show I'm leaning in every direction I can to acquire this skill and get this job that I'm looking for, to me, that's a lot different than tacking them on 5 or 6 years later. But again, doing whatever you can to prove yourself and to gain those skills, those are the times when the certs matter to me.
I'm going to disagree with you, Josh. I think for this discussion, so I generally agree with you for non-pivots, for people who are looking for work and have some experience. But I think for people who are pivoting with zero experience, I recommend the certs and baseline certs, the Scrum Master and the product owner. One for terminology, and just understanding it, because it's hard to get that and to have some collaboration in the class. The other thing is just confidence, to build up your confidence that you not artificially, but you have something, you have a baseline. Rhiannon, I recommended to her. I actually paid for her classes. I'm like, let me help you with this.
Oh, damn.
But it was something that I felt was really, so I'm I'm cheap. So I'm not gonna do that artificially. But it would only be for those pivots. It would only be, you can say that because it can get you over the hump of those filters, those HRs. It can help you get over the hump of the filters, and it can show that you're serious.
Yeah, I think I communicated poorly, because that's what I was trying to say. That's the one instance where I think the certs really.
Yeah. And it's yes, it's for the company and for entry, but I really think what I was trying to do with Rhiannon is just give her a baseline so she would have some confidence.
Right.
It's really hard. Josh, you have to remember, like, these folks are pivoting from professions that have nothing related to technology, right? Or Scrum or Agile. You and I, we've been seeped in this stuff or stewed in this stuff for a long time. They can't spell Scrum. They don't understand it. And it really helps to get that leg up. But it's not good enough by itself. You need to do the stuff that we're talking about to build that story.
Yeah. True story. When you and I met, that was my first Scrum Agile anything role. Like, I remember when I got the job offer and my wife said, Scrum Master, have you ever done that before? I'm like, nope, but I'll figure it out. So
Yep.
that was
Yep.
that's what opened the door there.
Absolutely. I'm trying to think of what else can we. Um, there's the three A's: attitude, aptitude, and ability. And they're sort of in that ranked order. And ability would be direct experience or direct skills.
Mhm.
And attitude is that, and aptitude is the ability to learn. Can you learn? Are you curious? And
Yeah.
are you really aggressive? Do you take personal ownership of your learning? And I've talked about that. Ralph Kasuba, the three A's is his idea, and we hired with that in mind. And I think what we're talking about sort of supports the three A's. Do you? But when we were doing some pre-work, you said you're not on the 3A train yet. So
Yeah, I don't buy completely into the AAA train, because one of the things that I found in my hiring practices is it was still three things. One of the biggest challenges that I saw was we would hire really smart people, but the capability to get shit done just wasn't there. So they were good team players. They were super smart. They learned really fast, but actually getting things over the finish line, whether it was will or skill, there was a hurdle there. So that's the one piece that is missing. And maybe it's intertwined in some of the A's and it's not said up
yep.
front. But from my perspective, that's a thing that's required up front. So I lean heavier there. I think if you look at everything we've talked about in this episode about pivoting into a Scrum Master role and all of the suggestions that we provided you, you are checking off every A with everything that we said that
Yep.
you could and should do. So you're already, the foot is in the door and you've kicked it open. So that's all there. Now, from my perspective, with the get shit done piece, you're showing me you're getting shit done because you're making it happen. You have a day job. You have all that stuff going on. Just like Bob's daughter. Like there was no surrender. There was no question that this was going to happen. It's just a matter of when. And those are the things that I'm looking for because so much of this is hard. And it's going to be difficult. Just like Bob said at one point during this, of finding this job is going to be hard. So are you willing to dig your feet in and hear no 75 times until
Yep.
you get that first yes? Because that is difficult. That is hard. That is disheartening. But if you have that, whatever it is, then you're going to fight through and make it happen.
Now I have two other things real quickly I want to raise around this topic. One is that first job, don't be picky. So if you're out there in the agile community, you're gonna encounter agile purists, agile pragmatists, agile asses, agile whatevers, and everyone has and there's a lot of filter. Oh, you don't want to work for Fidelity, or oh, you don't want to work for this company, or oh, you don't want to work. It's big companies, little companies. Google's the only company you want to work for. I would argue, shut up, ignore them, and you need a company. So your first goal is getting in the door and then getting chops. And it doesn't matter where you get those chops. From my point of view, just get some chops. You need about 12. What I've seen with people who are doing this is the first job is a chop job, right? They're getting their chops. Then, like, they don't last more than 12 to 18 months. Then they go and then they find like an experienced Scrum Master role. And then very often they might, depending on their background, how much other experience they have, pre Agile, they can go to an Agile coaching role where their soft skills are activated. But you have to get those chops in the door. So don't. I see some people, they listen to advisors and they start getting picky. Oh, they're not agile enough for me. Oh, I asked them a question and they have Gantt charts. I'm like, just just I want to hear what Josh says, but is that, don't go for the first one and
I,
don't filter.
yeah, I agree completely. And there is a ton of value in being a Scrum Master in a non-agile company a ton of value because you get presented with all of the really hard stuff. So fighting through that is going to enable you to be more effective when you land in that cushy job where they're already agile. Now, there's undoubtedly a ton of things for them to get better at, but if you're only ever in a good situation, how are you going to handle it when something goes sideways? And if you've never done that, unfortunately, it's going to be really hard and you might crumble. And nobody wants that. But at some point, you have to be in a shitty company and be like, why did I come work here?
Ex-
But still fight through and make a difference. And those are skills that will travel with you forever and will make future jobs you have so much easier.
Well, and the stories you can tell in the interview and the experience it's getting for you. So you're getting that experience. The second thing I wanted to say is soft skills. So you're not selling hard skills, you're selling. So what my daughter sold, and she had to translate it, was her soft skills, her ability to communicate, her ability to lead, her ability to work in diverse situations, her ability to, and if you think about it, school teachers or social workers or people who are translating out, how do I say this? The world of technologists is lacking soft skills,
Yeah.
and very often we get in our way. So there is magic. There's a magical thing if you can, and it solves a problem. I I think one of the things Rhiannon translated was, I'm a problem solver. I'm a leader. I can communicate. I don't shy away from things. I'm respectful. I'm this. I understand psychological safety. I understand radical candor. All of this soft, squishy stuff. And when she was interviewing, I'm sure the leaders were like, "Yes, we want Scrum, but we also have all of these. The teams aren't perfect, and they're not collaborating very well, etc." Well, that's that sweet spot. Is that soft skill? So when we're translating, translate your soft skills. Realize how unique and valuable they are in IT technology environments, in those ecosystems, and make that difference. Now, but don't BS it. If you don't have those soft skills, don't, then don't talk about it.
Yeah.
Right?
That's
So
the worst thing you can do.
that's the worst thing you can
Yeah.
do. Josh, react to that one as well, if you wouldn't mind.
To me, it's very similar to that saying you hear everybody should work food service. Um, because it's one of those difficult, challenging positions that's underappreciated, like so many of the roles that you talked about, where you have to have those soft skills to fight through those annoying customers and the bad teammates and the bad food or bad hours or whatever it might be. It's that same thing where sometimes you get so much in return from something that's not the ideal. And to your point, the software engineering world is kind of soft. Like it's pretty cushy. There's not
Yeah,
a lot of challenging situations. Things that are challenging, when you line it up with somebody doing work like your daughter was doing in the social work world, not even freaking close, right?
exactly.
So for someone that can handle that on a day-to-day basis coming into a software dev team, there's not very unlikely that there's going to be a problem that is more challenging than someone that spent n number of years in social work. It's just not going to happen. Whereas if you've never had the opportunity to work in a situation like that, then again, when things go sideways, you're going to lock up because you haven't had the opportunity to fight through that.
So let's brainstorm real quickly. I don't want to I don't want to focus too much on social work. I think that's a good one. I brought up so let's talk about some areas that might translate. So I could see coaching. I
Mhm.
could see high school coaching, team coaching, volunteer coaching for 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 little kids. I coached a little league baseball team once. Oh my god,
Yeah.
that that's not for the faint of heart. So coaching librarians at the high school. Oh my god, I mean, I could see that teachers balancing kids and parents and skills they're translating. Do you see any areas like professions that
I think there's a ton of interesting challenges in like retail or food service management.
That's what you were saying. Sales? Anyone who's doing like
Yeah.
customer sales?
Where where
Front
where where it's a high turnover job, where you are the manager, the leader, and it's just a high turnover world. All of those challenges of building the team that's ever evolving, and all of the challenges that come at you with that, while also trying to operate a successful business. Uh, those are very similar challenges to what you would be doing. So I think anything like that where it's your responsibility to get something across the finish line and there's a ton of variables that are thrown your way, I think if you peel the layers back, you'll probably find that you're doing some flavor of Scrum or Agile to plan those things out, because guess what? You can't plan that far ahead because just reality prevents it.
Absolutely. I had a guy, he was an exterminator. He was a manager of a crew, an exterminator crew, and he would do some quotes, but he would also crawl under crawl spaces and things like that. And he was asking me, and that's hard work. And
Yeah.
he had done that for a number of years. And he's like, and there was just this idea. A friend of his said something about Scrum, and we had a Zoom chat. And as he was talking, and customer interaction and quality, I was sort of talking to him about, and he really cared. He was passionate about removing bugs from houses and the quality. I mean, this is an important thing for him, and getting under there and getting the right chemicals and doing a thorough job. Like if I was doing it, I would spray from the from the outside and say,
Right.
"Yep, I did it." But he was into quality job for the customer, clear communication when he was selling, right? Managing expectations. And as I was talking to him, I'm like, oh my God, this he would make a great scrum master from
Right.
my point of view. It's that soft skills, but it's not just the soft skills, it's the stories. And as I was talking, I was thinking to myself, gosh, there's some stories that you could translate to
Yeah.
really get someone excited about your match to Scrum if you do it the right way, right? If you do that translation correctly.
Fork.
I think so. What do you think? It
I do. It
feels
ended up going a different direction than we intended, but I think it works well and delivers value to everybody that's listening. So I feel pretty good.
there's a lot of people doing this. I hope we get it out there. The other thing is there's people thinking about it, but they're intimidated. There's imposter syndrome because it's a huge
Yeah.
pivot. Maybe we land it this way. Everyone, it's a worthwhile pivot.
Yeah.
So a lot of the domains that we're talking about are underappreciated and underserved and underpaid. And Scrum Masters are it's a good place to be, and it's a
Yep.
good place to grow, and there's appreciation and there's opportunity there. And so I just hopefully we have also inspired some people to try that pivot and to talk to someone in their community.
Yep. The
So
opportunities
go
are out
ahead.
there. I'm just saying they're out there. You just got to go make it happen.
Got to make it happen. And that's actually the first test. Do you have the intestinal fortitude? Do you have the stick
Ooh.
to itiveness to go get it? Because it's not going to be handed to you, but it's out there. And there's people like Josh said in the community who will help you.
Yep.
So from beautiful downtown Cary, North Carolina, and
Beautiful Fuquay Arena, North Carolina.
I'm Bob Galen.
And I'm Josh Anderson.
Shake.
And big.
Take care, y'all.
That was very good and much better than last time.
I was trying. That
I
you
know,
got
I thought it was great. I did. Oh. Oh,
good see.
gosh.
Real quickly while you're here, I talked to oh my God.
The woman we talked about last time?
Pam.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm going to connect you to.
Okay. Sounds good.
It's a no-brainer. I'm on board with the content and stuff, but she's just got such interesting ideas and she's
Okay.
got a lot of energy, and I think you two will just hit it off. And I don't know if it makes sense, what makes sense to partner or work together, but
We'll
I
figure
do
it out.
know from an ideation and energy point of view and a commonality, she's there. I talked about you for example, she's talking about more static content, and I was saying I was trying to be you, and I was talking about like video content, right,
Yeah.
or streaming content,
Mhm.
and so
Look at
having
you.
faceted content. Look at me.
I'm so proud. My
I'm
heart goes
trying.
through 10 sizes.
I'm trying. I am teachable in
Man.
small increments. So I'm
Cool.
going to connect you guys right in the next half hour. Okay.
Okay. Sounds great.
Is it okay if I send her? If can you have that
Send her
little?
whatever. Send her whatever. I'm not.
No, the Calendly link. I can
Oh,
share
yeah.
your
Sure.
calendar.
Yeah.
I'll do that.
100%. Okay.
Josh, good seeing you, my friend.
You too. Take care.
Have a good
See ya.
week. Bye bye.